Waiting to get washed away.
Delivering fascinating subjects, interesting talk, and boobs and fart jokes. AD on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, oh, let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Oh, let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah. Funkhouser, let's finish up the news and then let's talk about the NFL and some other stuff.
Okay. Rush Limbaugh's in the news. He says that sometimes no means yes.
Right. Like when he says no to starting his day with Vicodin and a McGriddle. I feel bad for that guy. Not that bad because, he's sitting on mountains of money. But we were talking about it off the air the other day. That guy, look, say what you will about him. He's made a name for himself, and he's defined his place in the world by being a radio dude. And isn't he almost completely deaf?
What?
like pretty close to, and it's like not even like he has a normal hearing aid anymore. It's some sort of thing that's installed behind a bone in his ear. Like, I don't know what the case is, but like he lost his hearing. And man, if you're a radio guy, if your stock and trade, if your place in this world is defined by the spoken word and you lose your ability to speak or to hear, that's not good times. That being said, he's managed to soldier along. It's amazing what mountains of money can fix in this day and age. What else?
An 18-year-old worker at a Texas pizza shop was arrested for rubbing his genitals on a pizza, much like what I'm doing with the microphone right now. Enjoy that.
Actually, I will enjoy that. I won't...
There.
I'll just, I won't enjoy the microphone. I will enjoy what happens to the person that comes in. Who uses that microphone after you?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Or they'll find out. What else?
There's a breast implant shortage in Venezuela.
Some are calling it a crisis. I think that's a bit overinflated. Thank you. Here all week. And finish up the news strong, Funkhouser.
And
something
finally,
about our national defense.
And finally,
we're
in global news.
Mm-hmm.
A Pentagon report reveals that more than half of the United States troops are clinically obese.
I thought it was really hard to get into the Army. Maybe they pork up after they're in. I don't know. Maybe it's the Army's new recruiting slogan. Be all that you can eat. Thanks to raging cholesterol levels, now everybody in the Army has a Purple Heart. And Top Gun 2 will star Jonah Hill. The Reverend Jesse Jackson, trying to get paid by the NFL, says the league's 3 new domestic violence experts that they've had to employ since, Ray Rice and Adrian Peterson. He says their three new domestic violence experts lack diversity, which is shameful insensitivity that compounds the credibility crisis. Yeah, like a fiscal shark smelling blood in the water. He smells the blood from the NFL's wounds. He's now moving in for the kill. Big cash money. That's what it takes to make him go away. In a PR move this week, the NFL announced that they're bringing in 3 domestic violence experts to serve as consultants. Jesse is upset because none of the 3 women advisors are black. He said, "Where's the jury of your peers?" Adding that the lack of diversity among the advisors is shameful insensitivity that compounds the credibility crisis. And this is what he does. He ramps up the PR machine until you pay him off to make him go away. Anheuser-Busch, who are responsible for Adrian Peterson getting resuspended for a second time in like 3 days. Anheuser-Busch had their run-in with Jesse Jackson. He went to them and he was like, hey, beer making isn't diverse enough. And to make him go away, I think they gave his son a brewery. Good for millions and millions of dollars. Yeah. In this day and age, and we've talked about it a lot, and it's not what I want to harp on about in this particular show, but in this day and age, when we are more divided, and it's not just a black-white divide, but a large part of the divide in this country is racially motivated at the moment. People are scared of one another in a way that I don't remember them being when I was growing up. And that's not okay. And in a day and age where there is a divide and it does cause problems and it shouldn't be there. This was supposed to be Abraham Lincoln's problem. This was supposed to be our grandparents' problem. Racism, it's such an 1800s thing. What the hell are we doing? Racial divides? Come on. It's 2014. Nevertheless, they're there and they're getting worse, and the gap of understanding is getting wider because of folks like Jesse Jackson. Race baiting and profiting off of this situation. Stirring the pot, manufacturing outrage so he can take money for his, again in the show, note the sarcastic air quotes around the word, charity. It's not okay. It's part of the problem, not part of the solution. And if you're in a public situation, like how did it's quite an artistically viable move on his part. It really did take some creative thinking for him to go like, how can I take Adrian Peterson beating his kid and Ray Rice beating his wife and make some money off of it? Historically, I do better when the violence isn't black on black. But he found a way. 10 out of 10 for creativity and ingenuity, minus several million for having any sort of like contribution to society. But well done, Jesse. You're doing your thing, and we're all proud of you. A Philadelphia father shot a man he thought was an intruder. Turns out, police now believe the man was dating the father's 20-year-old daughter, and she let him in. Someone called Philly police to a second-floor apartment around 11:30 on Monday night. Cops said that a preliminary investigation showed that a 32-year-old man broke into a rear window. A 41-year-old resident then shot the intruder once in the head, killing the man. Investigators say that the victim was possibly dating the 41-year-old resident's 20-year-old daughter, and that the young woman let the victim in before the deadly shooting. Ooh. Guns. There's no good answer in this country. There's really not. I wonder, this will be an interesting one. It'll be an interesting one to see exactly how the law looks at this. Because he shot a man who apparently might not have been an intruder, killed him dead. And if that guy was an intruder, I don't know what the laws are in Pennsylvania, specifically in Philly, but like if someone invades your home, say in the great state of Texas, you can take their life and it's A-okay. But if it's a misunderstanding, a case of mistaken identity like this, what then? It's an interesting one. We'll see how it plays out. You ever see that comic, Jim Jeffries? He made an interesting point about gun control in America. He was like, people that say they're for the Second Amendment and that they need guns for security, well, just call it what it is. You like guns. You want to have a gun. You think guns are cool, and that's great. And I'm not saying guns aren't cool. Like, there's got to be some sort of, huge rush. Firing a machine gun must be a controlled rush, but I remember when Piers Morgan went down to Texas and fired a machine gun, and he was pretty thrilled with the experience. He was like, "Wow, that was really something. Why anybody would need a machine gun at home, I'm not entirely sure, but that was something." Jim Jeffries made an interesting point, and for the record, I if you've never listened to the show before, I don't have a gun. I might get one, though. In my current living situation, I don't find it's necessary for protection. I don't. Based on my sense, my own moral compass, my own feeling of the level of protection I feel I need. That might change. I might move into a house that has that master down with the French doors out to the yard where anybody could just sort of creep in and I don't have kids. So, that being the case, being the level-headed individual that I am, I might feel okay about having a gun in the home at some point. I don't know. I haven't made that decision yet. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. When I have kids, that'll be a whole different kettle of fish, because when I was a kid, I was freaking ingenious at getting into places and finding stuff that I wasn't supposed to find, whether it was a Christmas present, whether it was porn, I found a way. And I wasn't, I wasn't really all that old either. Yeah, my 10-year-old me had the cunning of a fox mixed with a ninja and the know-how of a MacGyver when it came to getting stuff that I wanted that I wasn't supposed to have. So, based on my own childhood experiences, I don't know if I'll have a gun in the house when I'm a kid, or I don't know if I'll have a gun in the house if I have a kid. But yeah, just so we're clear on where we stand on this. There's no getting around it. You can't disarm America. It's part of what makes Americans American. Guns. And I have lots of friends that are responsible gun owners. Got no problem with them owning guns. But it's interesting to see how the rest of the world looks at it. Jim Jeffries, and I paraphrase here because we can't play the audio on the radio because, he swears a lot. But he did make an interesting point. He said, in Australia, they had the Port Arthur massacre, the worst gun massacre ever perpetrated by some crazy-ass shooter. And when that happened, guns had been legal in Australia. And when that happened, the Australian government went, okay, no more guns. And the rest of Australia went, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, okay, no more guns. He was like, in America, you have all these mass shootings, and the government goes, maybe we'll get rid of some of the guns. And half of America goes, you can pry them out of my cold, dead hands. Come and take it. And he did make an interesting point. He said that the gun that the Batman shooter used, you can buy in Walmart for less than $1,000. That same gun in Australia costs almost $40,000. The argument being that if you disarm America, well, criminals will still have guns. But yeah, in Australia, to buy this gun on the black market, you need $40,000. And if you have $40,000, you don't need a gun. And he said, well, what about the people that want to perpetrate mass shootings? And they're not financially motivated. They're not trying to steal money. And he was like, yeah, here's the thing, though. Those guys were out of their mind in some way or another, whether it's Asperger's or some sort of behavioral problems. And he was like, I don't know if you've ever tried to purchase anything on the black market, but you can't go down to the docks in the middle of the night and go, guns, I want some guns. It's just not done. Oh, look. A woman was arrested for pointing her gun at a kid practicing his clarinet. We'll get into that story tomorrow, but I said it before, I'll say it again. Don't believe in taking away Americans' guns, but perhaps we could find a way of keeping them out of people trigger happy enough to point them at kids unsatisfactorily practicing their woodwind instruments. Just a suggestion.
Turn the other cheek and give people the benefit of the doubt even when they don't deserve it.